Hey boys, thanks for coming
What's
on.
going on, man?
Again, we've got Mr. Jeff in the
Oh,
house, and we've got
hello,
Mr.
hello.
Josh,
Hello.
otherwise known as Dukes. So anybody out there listening, Jeff and Dukes, thanks for coming on, boys.
No
I don't know
worries.
about
Thanks
I
for
don't know
having
about
us.
you guys, but I've been exploding to see this fucking movie for a week, and when I saw it last night, I like literally almost sent spoiler shit all the way to your chats. I was like, holy fuck, we have to
It's
talk
fucking
about this
awesome.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Dukes, you
The
saw it
open.
today, right?
I saw it today. I was nervous, man, going in because you guys know I don't like scary shit, and I had heard that like the first scene was like really, really creepy, but it didn't freak me
Yeah.
out too bad. Yeah, we're good. It was
The
What were you
awesome.
gonna
first
say, Jeff?
scene. The first scene when it was the binoculars when it was him breathing, I was like, all right, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Right?
It is already creepy as fuck. And I know it's Paul Dano, and I know that he doesn't like, you know what, I was like, man, like it was just it was a great opening scene. Very, like, I
I
Well,
thought it
think it
was
and
might have
like
been even a little bit better than the opening scene of The Dark Knight. Just
well,
just the
dude.
creepiness, but just the
He's
creepiness value of it. So,
when he was
but I don't know.
exactly like when he was watching the TV and then he turned it off and
Yeah,
you could see Riddler like standing there, but just like the
yeah.
reflection in his
Oh,
glasses, that was gnarly, man.
yeah.
yeah.
It was.
Well, and the glasses were kind of a freaky part of that costume because just like the
His
way
whole
they sat on his face with the
yeah.
garbage or like with the mask. I also liked that the mask, and I mean this is going to it later, I guess, but like I liked that the mask had that like real life feel to it. Like it like
Yeah,
in the one scene where you see it on the computer, it's literally from a what's it called shop? Like an army surplus store.
Yeah.
Like if
yeah,
you look
yeah.
down in the corners.
His whole costume was like, like they said they were like kind of basing him on Zodiac. He looked a
Yeah.
lot. He
He
looked a
did. He did look
lot.
a lot like him, and then that was even the creepy thing. So you put a real
Yeah.
life element to it. It's like, well, this motherfucker could be,
When
and
I
that's just he just I don't it he just
There was some
it was a
creepy shit,
great
man.
opening sequence. It drove you, it sucked you right in, and it was like it didn't let go the entire time.
Well,
The
and it
thing
was
with the
freaky.
rat,
It was really freaky, like you were saying, like that even when so I mean I love that we're jumping in because like holy fuck, the scene with the guys with the half painted faces.
Oh yeah,
well, I mean, yeah, like we didn't
Him
see
coming out of the
Christian Bale.
dark
Like
and you just
we we
no.
didn't see, we didn't see Batman as Batman in Begins until like what 45 minutes, 50 minutes into it, and like the first time we see Pattinson, he's like coming out of the shadows and beating the shit out of a group of guys. It was pretty cool,
but
Exactly.
and like
that's the
so
great thing
imposing
about
that
him.
like the guy that he was saving was fucking scared shitless too.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And I also
literally.
was like, I that I mean, again, I'm assuming that that guy had to kill somebody to get that other half of the face painted, right? Is that what I'm? That was probably
Oh,
right. That's why he had
that's
half
a
the
good
face.
call actually. I was
He's like,
wondering why
okay,
that was the case.
I didn't
oh,
even
that
think
was
that, to
almost
be
that.
honest.
That was. I'm assuming that's what it was. Because hey, you get half your face for joining, or you've done something maybe bad already. Because obviously he hasn't killed anyone because he looks nervous and he doesn't want to do it, obviously. And then it's like, all right, kill this guy, or or hurt him, or do something to him to earn your right back into our club. And then obviously he defended Batman when the guy almost shot him. He's like,
Yeah.
no. So
Kind
obviously
of
he didn't
defended
want to
him like
do it,
more.
right?
He
So
kind of like, yeah, I guess he's warning about that bullet coming in.
He could have a bit of a badass, like edgy side. He'd make a
Totally.
crazy Miles Morales. But side note to the Batman, obviously. But when he came down that hallway and
Yeah.
then beat the snot out of those dudes,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
mean,
It was
The
honestly
sound was
like
incredible.
it was like the fucking entrance, like the sound of his boots hitting the ground was like the fucking
Yeah.
bear Jew in Inglorious Bastards coming out of the hallway
literally,
with the bat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yes.
it
Well,
was
and
Yeah,
very
you're,
cool.
you're very similar, right? I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that, but now I'm thinking about, yeah, with the baseball bat or whatever he had, right? Like he's just,
yeah.
yeah,
It just
that was
and
that.
not even like I just mean like the fact that like something unknown coming out of like a shadow there and then like kind
Yeah,
of
true,
climbing
true,
through.
true.
It's pretty cool, but like they kind of just like went in right there like it was way more about like Batman this movie was than it was Bruce Wayne for
Yeah,
sure.
oh
oh
yeah,
yeah. I like how
I
like
love the
like
fact
Chris.
that it was a detective movie
Oh yeah, 100. Like a very like a perfect noir movie. Like I mean,
and the
I
narrating was Like
Narrating was great too. Yeah, like it
Well,
was.
and
fantastic.
usually, and the thing is, usually like narration gets a bad rap, right? Because it's like, oh, another movie with narration. But it was like it set the tone for the movie right from the get-go, right
Yeah.
in the starting scene. And like, I don't know if you guys ever played Max Payne, like the
Oh
original
Oh,
yeah.
I
Max
did.
Payne game.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Fucking, I loved that game back in the day.
Yeah.
And it immediately, that movie, like with the kind of the scary tone to it, and like the way that the narration was happening, it reminded me of some of the scenes of like, or like that narration in Max Payne, like that edginess to it, which was really cool. But like even like how those hits were landing, like on those guys, like that reminded me more of Arkham, like Asylum, or like some of the Arkham games that we've played,
Mm,
Dukes, where like
yeah.
as Batman, you go in and you just like fuck these guys,
Yeah.
and like
Totally.
no holding back either. Obviously, I mean, like he was fighting to win, and they got some shots off on him. Like he got hit with how
He
many
got
bullets
shot
in
a
that
lot.
movie?
As he
Like,
should,
he
you
got
know,
Yes,
he's
as you
not
shot a
should.
fucking
lot.
Flash.
Yeah.
Well,
Go on, dude.
a couple times, there was a couple times in that movie where the light caught the suit, and it reminded me a lot of the suit from Arkham Origins. A
Yes.
lot.
Yes. And that's when I saw it, Dukes, and I saw the suit and how it was kind of illuminated like in the movie. I was like, oh man, like this is your
I
favorite
love the
game.
suit.
Or got
I
right?
Yeah, man. I think
Yeah.
it's great. People were
I
saying
thought it
like
looked really cool.
they don't like the whatever, the this and that. I
The
not
cat.
only did I like the suit, but I thought it was fucking definitely one of the coolest so far. I really like the collar more than I thought I would. As you see him like walking around in it, like with that neck piece almost.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
I
when
like
I
that a
first saw
lot.
set photos, I thought it looked a little bit ugly. I agree. And it like for the movie, it worked a lot more.
Yeah,
It also made more sense for the way he like fights. Because
yeah,
like,
totally.
like in the Dark
It's
Knight movies,
functional.
there was a whole thing about, I need to be able to turn my head, which was,
Yeah.
good for those movies, but they didn't need to recreate that, right? If anything, it was like he's got there at that point. If this is year 2 Batman, he's had to be able to turn his head while fighting. And
Yeah.
like talking about like Alfred being the
Oh my
guy
god.
who's trained Batman to fight like this. I thought that was really cool. I liked that aspect of Alfred this time.
I don't.
Um,
I was saying
Go
to
ahead.
Jeff yesterday, actually. I don't know if you have read the story, like if you're or reading the storyline yet, but I'm reading like Earth One or whatever. Or is it Earth Two? No, hold on here one second. No, Earth One. And in that one, like it doesn't seem like Bruce Wayne like went overseas and like trained himself and blah blah blah. He seems like he's just like this guy that's like figuring it out as he goes. And
Yeah. He
like
just did it. He just did it at
Alfred's
home.
Alfred's not as much like a loyal, faithful butler as much as he was like a bodyguard for Bruce and like retired special ops and stuff like that. So I
So
mean,
yeah,
like
when you said that, I was just like, oh, I was like, when you said that about the
yeah,
comic, I was
I
like, oh
wasn't.
shit,
Hey man,
that's exactly
when
what
you
happens in the movie.
right when I said that,
So
I was thinking about that today, telling you that I wasn't fucking far off, was I? Like it
you know
seems
you
like
weren't far off. You weren't far off. Okay,
it seems like they're
we're also
doing.
going to get into characters.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll get into that obviously.
there's going to be
Anyway,
a lot
Well,
more. I just like how they're going to like Alfred and Bruce's relationship is like one of the fucking cornerstones of like Batman
of
mythology, in
Batman.
my opinion.
Yeah,
yes,
You know,
100%.
so like
Well,
they're gonna
and when
have
I
to go.
first heard that it was Andy Serkis doing it, I mean, like Andy Serkis he's an awesome actor, like obviously, right? And I mean, some of his animation stuff is, or like just like what are they called, bodysuits, green screen suits. Like he's like invented that shit. But
The
I
mocaps.
didn't know if he'd make a good Alfred. Is that weird to say? I like when I was like, like
No,
maybe,
it's
like
not
I
weird.
don't know. I didn't
How
really
did
see
like
it. I didn't see it.
how do
But
you feel
then in the
now?
movie, I thought he killed
He's
it. I thought he
he's
like
right. He's awesome.
well, and I
I
liked, as I said, that he had a
disagree.
physical. Oh, okay. Give me one
Yeah,
sec. So because I thought I liked that he had a physical presence and that he was able
Yeah,
to train Bruce to be as
yeah.
badass as he was. But go ahead, Jeff. Like, why do you
I,
what did?
I don't know. I thought he was underwhelming. He didn't engage me
Yeah,
at all at first. When I saw him, I was like, when he was talking, I was like, he's kind of a fucking dick to Bruce. I thought Bruce looked like he was like Bruce.
Bruce is being a
Bruce,
spoiled little asshole.
Bruce. Pardon?
I think Bruce was like he's being not like he's being kind of a bratty person towards Alfred.
But Bruce is just broken, right? I mean, in
For
terms
sure.
of him being Batman and Bruce Wayne, he's the same in this movie, right? In Dark Knight, I mean, Christian Bale played the millionaire philanthropist or whatever, and Batman. Pretty much like Robert Pattinson just played he just played Batman the whole time, but he wasn't in his costume the whole time.
Well,
You know, which
Dukes,
which is which is what I liked, right? So
you might know,
um,
Dukes. You might like, how old was Christian Bale supposed to be in
probably like
Batman
I think
Begins? I
his
guess
30s,
same
right?
age.
30s.
When he got home, he was gone for 7 years, and like he left
26,
like
28.
well, I mean, I would say like because no man, because like remember he came home from university
Mhm.
for like the weekend or something, if they're like for Chill's
Right.
his trial,
Yeah.
and then he was gonna go down to that bar or whatever and shoot Falcone, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He like
So
took
if
the gun
he
and
was,
pitched it and like
I
threw
guess
his
so. If he
jacket
was
away
what,
and got on that
24?
fucking ship. I want to say,
I think
man,
it's
I want to say he
24.
was probably like 22 even.
Okay, so
I
he was
would say
22.
probably
like
call it 29 or 30
yeah, when
in
he's
Batman
coming back
Begins.
to
Then basically,
yeah, I was gonna put him at like 29, like that birthday, that like where Ray shows up with everyone. I was saying that for him in my mind that's his 30th birthday. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, because so the reason I even asked that is like, do you think then Pattinson's Batman? I guess if it's his year 2 Batman,
Wait, I
like
think
that. You can't compare Nolan verse obviously in the like the
no.
chronological way of it to this movie because they're different. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, do you feel like Robert Pattinson is a younger man in this movie still than
Yes.
Christian Bale in
Yes, he
Batman?
is. He's
100%.
definitely.
Like in
I'd
his
say
head,
maybe
emotionally as a
25.
character, like he seems younger.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I
he
think
is.
Yeah.
it's cool because like
Yeah.
we're gonna have
Because I
to
think
watch
that
Pattinson, like we're gonna have to watch him figure out, like not him as an actor, but like we're gonna have to watch Bruce Wayne figure out how to be Bruce Wayne as much as he's got to
Yeah.
figure out how to be Batman.
right, because I think that contributes to his moodiness a little bit that we see with Alfred even in the beginning of the movie, right? Like he's kind of younger, he's still way more like upset about his parents' death and stuff like that, and it reminded me more of a comic book representation of the character, what I would expect him to be like still as a younger Bruce, and still really raw and filled with vengeance, right? Filled with
Even
vengeance, which is his name.
when Alfred came to, the first thing wasn't like, "Oh my God, I'm glad you're okay." It was, "You lied to me."
Yeah,
So it was like,
literally, he was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, like pissed, right? But like, fair enough. I mean,
that
right?
was a
Like,
scene right there where like Andy Serkis was like, and I thought that was awesome because he's going to be a tough Alfred. He's not like a hard ass, but he's been around the block. He hasn't been a butler his whole fucking life.
And I guess
No.
maybe that's why I didn't like him, because I'm so used to the Michael Caine,
Yes.
Alfred, right? The nicer Alfred. I didn't really like even Jeremy Irons Alfred, to be fully honest. Like I thought he was the worst Alfred that I've seen. Jeremy,
Yeah.
I
With
love Andy. I
Batfleck.
love Andy
Batfleck.
Serkis.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Ben Affleck. I love
Mhm.
Jeremy. I mean, I love Andy Serkis. So I didn't hate. I didn't. I felt that not his performance, just the way they portrayed him, just was, in terms of all the characters and stuff like that, was for me it was underwhelming. When I watch the movie again, I'll have to look at it in a different light. But
Well, and that's the thing. When you're seeing it for the first time, I wonder if you have a different
Yeah.
gut check than when we see it a second time. I mean, with The Dark
Yeah.
Knight, we saw that together in theaters like what, 12 times at least 12 times. Sorry, Ben Affleck was originally slated for this movie, right?
Yeah,
Like he was
Yeah,
originally
yeah.
supposed to be in it, but
Yeah.
because Matt Reeves, the director, wanted to like kind of eliminate that canon, at least from
Yeah.
this film, or like separate them. That's why they brought Pattinson in, but.
Yeah.
Like
It was the right move.
I did love how physical Ben Affleck was, but I think one of the
Yeah.
things that I liked about Robert Pattinson in this movie was that detective side.
100%.
That was
Yes,
cool.
Yeah.
That was good to see.
He's the fucking world's greatest detective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would say that up till now, Christian Bale is probably the next closest to being like detective work in a movie.
But like,
not even anything on the same scale as this. Otherwise, I'd almost say that the Arkham games did a better job of representing his detective side.
Totally. Because listen, we all love those movies. They all have a special place in our hearts, the Nolan trilogy. But like, what did he in Dark Knight? He really just like took the ballistics from the bullet and got the fingerprint. That was pretty much it, was it not? And then in Rises, he got Selena Kyle's.
Well, he did go to
fingerprint.
fucking China and got the guy. I mean, he did go to.
That's
China.
very true. He did go get Lau and stuff, but like that wasn't really
Mhm.
detective work as much as it was just like, I'm gonna fucking like you know,
Well, and there might have
jump
been
into a
detective work, but that didn't really show it, right? That
this,
it
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
yeah,
this was
yeah,
more
yeah.
like, you know, Batman
Yeah.
was like a straight up, like, you know, like a fucking gumshoe, like doing some detective work. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I feel that this movie was the most adaptation of what a comic book really would be like in terms of just, you know, I mean, I feel like this could be turned into a comic book easily.
yeah.
Like
Well,
this
the
actual
long,
movie, this, you know, a bit Christian Bale and the other ones, I don't feel like they could. I feel like this one easily could be and
its own
everything, the
like its own comic,
cinematography,
its own
its own
comic
comic
universe
book.
almost.
It's an
Yeah,
all,
Yeah.
yeah,
I could see
exactly.
it.
So yeah,
I could see that, and because I mean, like I've read The Long Halloween,
yeah.
which I mean is a bit of it's a different story for sure, obviously, but the vibe that I get from The Long Halloween, you should
And the
read that
same
one
as
if
this,
you haven't had
yeah,
a chance, Jeff. Like it's
yeah.
you've read it, right, Dukes?
I just don't
Oh yeah.
read, you know. It's like
Oh yeah.
The Long
I just
Halloween,
if
yeah,
there's a movie, I'll watch
I
a movie.
especially
that's
like
fair.
the Selena and Falcone thing, the vibes, that was like straight from Long Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
gave me some
yeah.
serious Long Halloween vibes. So again, like that was really cool, and I agree with you, Jeff. This feels like the most, I would say, the most comic book esque feel
Which is what we
to a film.
need.
It
Like, you know,
was.
like
And
we don't need, yeah, yeah,
Batman's supposed to be dark. He's supposed to be brooding.
yeah.
He's supposed to have those things. I thought, like, let's just say this. I didn't when Robert Pattinson was originally announced for the role. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like him. And then I thought about it more,
Just
and I
like we
thought
would
about
with
Heath
Heath Ledger, though.
Ledger.
Yeah,
100%
just like
right. I
Ledger.
That's where
mean,
my mind goes automatically now when I
dude,
think this guy's
Heath Ledger's for movies right before The Dark Knight, I believe, were like Brokeback Mountain and like movies like A Knight's Tale, where he's like a
Yeah,
knight in shining armor, like handsome dude running through the field, right? And like Robert Pattinson, he's had a bad rap, I feel like, because of Twilight. I mean, he's literally said he came out to say, like he did those movies to get rich.
it's a very emo Batman, right? He's a somber Batman and stuff like that, right? So, um, as much as we hate, as much as people say, oh, you know, Twilight, you know, but like, I mean, those movies pretty much, the guy can fucking act. You know what I mean? The guy can,
100%.
the guy showed his chops. I mean, like, you know, I know, I'll never watch Twilight again, but I mean, it wasn't as terrible, I guess, as people would say. And like, I mean, it sucks that he's so, um, uh, cemented in history with Twilight because like he has
no,
so many other good
not for me
movies and
I
stuff
think
like that.
I've never
not
No, not for
anymore.
I've
you
never
guys, but
seen
like,
a
you know,
I've never seen a
like for
Twilight movie
for
in my
media,
life.
right? For the media, it's always
Yeah.
he always gets compared to Twilight. He always gets this question. It's like he's done Twilight, he's Batman now. Fucking ask him about Batman. Leave his Twilight days alone. So,
That's fair.
yeah. So I thought he's a good actor. So
I love the car. Like
the car was
the
so
car
good.
looked like from day one you see the car and obviously it looked cool, but the way they
Yeah.
introduced it in the movie was
Oh man,
so
yeah.
awesome. It was so awesome.
Yeah. I liked that the car was featured in the movie, but also not like a main star in the movie necessarily
Yeah.
either. Like when
It
I
just
think
had
of
like that
other,
one big scene.
it had the one big scene which was awesome, and like
Yeah.
I try to not watch the trailers, you know what I mean,
Yeah, I
because
didn't watch. Yeah,
trailers, they give so much away for movies that I want to see, like, and even with this movie, like they showed a big ass trailer of Doctor Strange, which it's like, it's impossible to not watch it, when you're sitting in
yeah,
the theater and it's on, right? But like
yeah,
I did my best to not see anything but like some of the initial teasers for this movie. And when they showed the scene in that trailer of the car coming out over the flames,
yeah. That sucks. They showed that in trailer.
it
Yeah,
sucks they showed that, because if that had been the first time I'd seen that scene,
yeah,
dude, that would have given me
yeah.
crazy chills, I think. But
I
again,
agree.
trailers ruin some of that kind of shit. Yeah, I think this movie would have had crazy hype whether they basically showed anything or not.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so
It was so gritty. Like I just really
Well,
so
like
gritty,
my
so
one
like
gritty.
you know
I would say one of my complaints about the car, is when I was watching that scene, there were several times where I'm like, man, he's just going to get into an accident and that's it. The chase is going to be over, right?
Yeah,
Even the scene where he comes up and over the gas
yeah,
tank as it's exploding. You see the ramp slide into place at the perfect time for him to hit the ramp and go over. I
yeah.
honestly think if he hit that fucker head on, that's it. Like the
He's
Batman
dead.
movie's
He's
pretty
dead.
much
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
It just
honest
was
to
good
God.
timing that he got over it. So like it was cool. but it wasn't
Movie
like the
magic, eh?
Tumbler. Well, and it wasn't like the Tumbler jumping rooftops to get Rachel
Yeah.
back to the Batcave
Yeah.
with the
No,
with the
but
to me it didn't have that kind of like coolness factor. And I also felt like because the Tumbler was basically a tank, it was like good luck taking that thing down unless you literally have
True.
a bazooka, which is what the Joker, blew it up with, right?
Initially had, yeah, right?
for
But
sure,
but what
but like,
but what are
I,
your thoughts, Dukes?
no, I just, well, I mean, one for sure is like, I mean, in my mind, I'm pretty sure like nothing's ever gonna beat the Tumbler. I fucking love that thing.
Mhm.
But I think that like, again, with him being so early in his
Yes, that's true.
career,
That thing's
and
gonna
also
go,
like
that thing's gonna be
not
great.
necessarily taking the advantage of what may very well be sitting like, in Wayne Enterprises somewhere. I'm just saying, like, this car that we're seeing now probably isn't gonna be the same car we see in like the third movie.
No,
Just because
because
No,
he's
most
that's
likely
still
not.
gets
Yeah.
that's true. That's
and
actually
we'll, as he evolves, we'll evolve like kind of with him, hopefully. Like
Yeah.
this movie was it was a very personal movie, like I liked
it
it.
was.
Yeah.
It was, and then that's
Yeah.
a good counter to the point, honestly, Dukes. Because like when I watched it, as I said, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, like I kind of wish there was, as I said, that it was more badass. That like as I said, I was holding my breath because I thought he was going to get in an accident, lose the Penguin. I'm like, but you're right. If it's only year 2 Batman for him, then fair enough. He might come
He's
out
still
of this
figuring the
movie and
shit
be
out,
like,
man.
right? He might come out of this movie and be like, I need a tank. I literally need a fast tank because
Yeah,
that thing,
right.
Dude,
Right.
it's
even,
awesome,
like-
but it's not getting me there,
I can,
Even
can
if
I,
it's
can
like,
I, oh, sorry.
no,
I
go
saw,
ahead.
can I say something about the suit? 'Cause we talked about the suit earlier. For every Batman that I've ever seen, every movie that, whatever, every Batman, I've always not had a problem with the suit, but kind of like maybe like one article of the suit, one part of the suit, I've been like, maybe I don't like.
The only thing for the suit for me was the cowl. I liked the look of the cowl, but it looked like almost like a leathery material, I thought.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and which unless that's Kevlar, which I guess it 100% could be.
get shot in the face. You're
I'm
fucked.
not sure why he didn't just get shot in the face. Like
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I could understand the armor deflecting the bullets and all that stuff. But the head, like as I said, unless that's straight up Kevlar,
I mean,
there
not to
ain't no
compare
way.
it to a cartoon, but like the animated series is like I kind of got animated series vibes from it. Like how he just like probably
That's true.
takes it off that way sometimes. But not to say, I
That's
mean,
true.
like obviously not a cartoon. I'm just like I thought it was cool. And again, like the car, we're gonna watch that shit evolve over the
Yeah,
course
Well,
of it.
exactly, right? Like, I
and
mean,
it's harder to hit somebody in the head potentially than you think, right? When you're in a battle and
Yeah.
you're a professional
Especially
trained fighter like
I've
Batman,
asked,
like
I've asked my sister how hard it is. She says it's not easy just to hit somebody in the fucking head
right.
when they're
No, that's
running
why
at you or
that's why
stuff
they
like that.
teach
Yeah.
you that. I
So,
think even in police academy here in Canada, it's like they teach you to like shoot for more of like the chest.
oh,
as
go for
opposed
the
to
yeah, the
go
chest
for the
and
bigger
legs and stuff
target,
like
right?
that. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that's a very minor complaint. And again, that's more of like a process, like me just thinking more deep into it than just wow, that's cool as fuck, But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also did think that I liked his like the armor plating on his arms, his gauntlets. I thought those were really cool. Just like looking, and I liked his what's it called, his grappling hook attachment that he
Yeah, the
had.
grappling hook
That
was cool. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I didn't love the cape. Dukes and I talked a little bit about this in the pre-show. Jeff, you missed it, but I thought it looked kind of silly. It made sense, and again, I shouldn't say the cape itself. I guess more so the wingsuit, the wingsuit mode in the cape form when he's just
Oh,
walking
the
through the halls
wingsuit
and
was
stuff.
fucking
That looked
awesome, man.
cool. You like the wingsuit? So I didn't love the
Oh man,
wingsuit, and
when he and I was like, oh, how's he gonna get out of this? And then he put on, and he just also just zipped up, and I was like, oh shit.
It was
I was
also,
like, he's
what
got a
was also
fucking
cool about
wingsuit.
that
I'm like, oh
was
damn.
like
So
when he got up there and looked down, he was like,
yeah.
oh, like
Oh, he was scared, right? Like
he
it,
hadn't got
and
up
that's
there very
too.
much
Yeah.
before. Like
Yeah.
with the other Batman, we kind of just assume they don't mind taking fucking headers, but like this
Yeah.
guy, he got up there
Yeah.
and he was like, that's pretty fucking high up,
oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean it was high, and I
Oh,
think
most definitely.
it was more of a controlled fall than a cool Batman glide. I think I was going for the I'm hoping it's a good like Batman
Yeah.
fly, but it was a controlled fall, right? Obviously, but I think
Yeah. When he fell
I,
though, I was like,
Yeah.
good. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm glad he didn't land like perfectly and have like a fucking superhero pose.
But
or
that I
something
think
like
that
that,
maybe
right?
I think maybe that's why it took me out of it with the wingsuit, was because when he hit the cross beam on the way down with the truck, I'm like, that he should be like a crumpled ball on the pavement.
Yeah.
Like, like
But
you
it's the
ain't
same
no
thing.
way
It's
you're
like
walking away from that one, bud. Like, good luck. And then he, movie magic, right? He's not dead or has brain
yeah,
damage. But
yeah, bro. I mean, fuck.
and like again, I think for me, I'm gonna always compare it to The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight is still my favorite Batman movie. As much as I loved this movie, don't get me wrong, like I would still say The Dark Knight trilogy, like it just holds such a special heart, like place for me. But
Yeah,
when you see Batman in like Christian Bale's Batman jump off that building when he's going to get Lau, and he
yeah.
like comes around the building, and you see
It's
the
perfect.
downtown, and
Yeah.
it was, dude, that scene still gives me chills over
Oh
and
yeah.
watch it.
Oh,
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
Oh
to
yeah.
me, that
The
was like
sound.
seeing a real life Batman like gliding.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. But again,
Yeah.
you can't win them all. And like Dukes, even going back to your earlier point, like maybe it's just because it's year 2. He hasn't done that many times. By year 10, he might have a suit more like Christian Bale did and be able to have
But-
better controlled falls.
Well, think about
But-
like that. I would hope so, but like we're gonna get to watch this guy go through a shitload of years with
Yeah.
Bale. He was Batman for like a fucking year and a half, and
Yeah.
then lost
And it was
Harvey
just-
Dent and pieced out for 7 years, and then came back and
Yeah.
was Batman for like another a year,
Also
and
true.
then.
Well,
that
the
was
other
all
thing
she
is
wrote.
that I make it sound like Christian Bale's Batman did it so much easier, but he also wasn't under attack when he jumped off that building and glided in like to get Lau, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Well,
whereas
yeah.
Pattinson's got a whole police academy after him there, like, or a whole police
we-
department after him shooting.
Fucking Bale got out of the GCPD once, but he like basically just jumped off and like caught on to the fire escape on the street
Oh
opposite.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh
But,
yeah,
like,
right.
but like again, way different. He wasn't Batman at that point. He was still trying to figure shit out.
Which
Yeah.
is true, and that's that's a good reason for why I also shouldn't give Pattinson so much shit for having such a bad fall. Because, like, again, I mean, Christian Bale did the same thing before he got that shit sorted out, and different technology, right? Different materials, like all that stuff. Like, I think that was something that I liked about Christian Bale's Batman a little bit more, is that he almost seemed like he used his billionaire status better in terms of like the money that he'd have available. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he seemed to use his billionaire money more.
You didn't really see Bruce use his money that much. I mean, he had the cave, and you didn't see him flaunt any money around. He just, again, he was like Batman as Bruce Wayne. He just didn't have the cape on the entire time. You know what I mean? He was the same person.
But I mean, like
so.
he was even like he spent more money. It almost seems like he went after the most expensive materials for the cape, and he went after all the things that he would need basically in order to be Batman. Whereas we don't get to see that with Pattinson's Batman. He's just Batman already. But that's okay too.
Yeah,
Like again, I don't need the same movie. Dukes, do we still have you?
We've seen the origin stories. We've seen the how he gets to be, how he starts being Batman, and like, hey, he's been Batman for 7 years. You know what I mean? We've never seen the year 2 Batman, year 3, where he's like, he's like, oh, I'm just figuring. That's why this is such a great movie.
Yeah,
And it's such a great iteration of it.
But like, I want to stop referencing Bale's Batman here. This will be the last time I do it. But like, we've watched him like go to a much more ancient part of the world and like train to be something before he even knew he was going to be Batman. So he had that training right there. I feel like Pattinson, man, he got his training, like I said, maybe from Alfred, who was perhaps special ops at some point, and he got it from I don't think he's really gone too many places to learn. He's figuring it out.
Yeah, right there.
Even perhaps some of the fighting and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know. To me, Bale's Batman just felt like a much more established Batman in a lot shorter amount of time. If they're saying that this is Pattinson's second year as Batman, like
yeah,
he felt like
agreed.
he was still figuring it out a whole hell of a lot more than Bale was in even the fucking ultimate, like the last scene in Begins with Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah,
exactly.
Agreed.
So I think that takes me to the next part. So I want to get back into Catwoman really quickly.
You did say Catman. I'm really glad you said Catman. I was really hoping you'd say Catman.
I know.
On the air or on the record. If you said it off the record, I was like, please fucking say it on the record.
100%.
And you still said it. Let's talk about Catman,
Let's-
Ben. Let's talk about Catman.
Selena
Let's
Kyle.
get into it.
Selena Kyle, Zoe Kravitz. What did you guys think? Favorite Catwoman? Catman. Favorite Catwoman, or would you
You
say?
know what? Not my favorite, but second favorite. I mean, I love
Yeah.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Michelle
Yes.
Pfeiffer's Catwoman, just like like the, I think that embodied. I think the new Catwoman. Since I was happy that they actually included cats in this one instead of
Mhm.
like in the Nolan trilogy, there was no fucking cats. She just looked like a cat because she had like the
That's
ears
true.
and stuff like that, right? But there was no
That's
fucking
true.
cats. So it's like,
Yeah.
how can you have a Catwoman if there's no fucking cats? I appreciated that Zoe Kravitz still had, she had cats around and stuff like that, right? But I think she did a great job. So
No,
I
yeah.
was interested. Yeah, I thought she was. I thought the chemistry between her and Batman were pretty good.
Man,
yeah,
yes,
so
that was
he
actually
was great.
something that I really liked. I thought that they had a really good chemistry.
Which is
Go ahead.
which is a good. Which I feel like their first kiss was a nice throwback to when
Yes.
fucking Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer. I was like, that's exactly how they kissed. So it was kind of like sloppy too, and kind of like and I was like, oh, okay, good, little Easter egg for you right there. So
Well, and
I
even
did
from the comics,
appreciate that. So
even from
Yeah.
the comics, there are some
So,
Batman Catwoman kisses in the comics that are like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a pull.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I thought she did well. I agree that like I felt like, because I mean you could almost argue the same thing about her costume in the sense of like I don't think anybody actually came out and called her Catwoman in the movie unless I'm not remembering the same.
She's a cat.
Um,
She said the cat,
But
cat,
the cat, yeah, cat burglar or the cat. That's right, he did. And
No,
then
I think-
her headgear was in kind of the shape of like a cat's ears, basically,
She-
right?
Yeah.
So
I think she's the best Selena Kyle, in my opinion, on screen so far.
Oh,
Like,
fair enough.
Michelle
fair enough.
Michelle
fair enough.
Pfeiffer's
She was
definitely
fucking
got,
great. She
like-
was great.
like Michelle Pfeiffer, I think she's definitely got a special place with all of us because like the Burton verse is pretty cool. But remember how like it's also kind of weird because like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman like fell out of a window and then got brought back to life by like getting bit by
Yeah.
cats and shit. This Selena Kyle is actually like Selena Kyle is like in the books, like she's
Yes.
actually
Fair. I think she did great. Like she was, she like like it was. She did. Yeah, I think she
To
did
be
great.
fair,
It was
though,
just
I'm also I guess a little biased because I think Zoe Kravitz is pretty fucking hot. But
Yeah.
then again, so is Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, but I agree with you. Zoe Kravitz was much like in terms of. I think she's the best looking Catwoman easily. And like
I
I'm
just
glad
thought
that we
it was,
never
like-
even said Halle Berry because that doesn't even exist in
That
existence.
doesn't
That was a
count.
fucking
That's not-
terrible movie.
That's not a thing.
So
I just
yeah.
think that honestly,
in the
like,
world of multiverses, that Catwoman can basically stay at the far
Yeah.
edge of the multiverse.
Exactly
100%.
right. Exactly.
That's not even
So.
like that character's name wasn't even Selena Kyle. What I'm saying is like
It wasn't,
as
was
far
it?
as- no, Zoe Kravitz has definitely been like so far the best. I think like live action Selena Kyle. It was pretty cool. Actually, that was like one of the highlights of the movie for me.
She was great. She was fucking.
Yeah.
She was.
She was
Like,
good.
she was.
Like when
Yeah.
she like
I don't know if
fucking
we'll get.
kicked- when she kicked Buddy off the building, like attached to her whip, so
Oh,
she could
yeah.
like get off and like jump
Oh, yeah.
herself. That was fucking badass.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I do think I think she'll obviously come back in future movies. Like this is obviously not the end of that character, I don't think.
Yeah.
Even the
Oh,
way
no,
he
no.
looked back at her, like we'll see her again, I think for
I
sure.
also like how she gave like the little nod there to Bloodhaven, which eventually it becomes Nightwing's territory, I suppose. Like, but that's years from
Oh
now.
yeah.
In their
yeah.
continuity, but still, like I thought that was pretty cool. Just even like
I
the
agree.
nod to
It'll-
Bloodhaven.
Well, and how did you guys
It
feel
makes
about
the
that?
universe bigger.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
and that actually brings me to my next point, Jeff. That's an awesome segue, man. Like, what do you think about like the world building in this movie? The
Yeah,
city,
like,
the
it-
buildings,
Very
like
nice. It was
Yeah.
a very like dingy Gotham,
it was.
Very dingy. Very.
which was
It
nice.
was. Well, and even
It was a great
Wayne,
noir
like,
movie. It was a
yeah, the Wayne, like the gothic nature of like the inside of like Wayne Tower there when he was up with Alfred, and
Yeah.
like the way the room looks that they're sitting in, and
Yeah.
like that was crazy, like really cool, very different looking. So I think some of the movie was filmed still in Chicago, from what I looked up the other day, beforehand. So like some of the buildings that you see are still Chicago, and then there is another place as well, and I'm misremembering where from now, but it's a mixture of two different places basically for
They
the
filmed some like in the UK, did they not?
in the UK. I think you might be right
Yeah.
there. Oh
Yeah.
yes, England, London, England. I think it was what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting to have a kind of a mixture of those two. But
It was nice because you get like a lot more of the old architecture, like with
yes,
some of the UK stuff. It looked, looked really cool. I think
well,
like
and like
his Gotham look a lot more like an actual, like again, like Gotham's gonna look like a huge modern city,
yeah,
which I guess my mind kind of goes to New York. If you're like filming a movie, most things go to New York, or like you said,
mhm,
Chicago,
Yeah.
because I mean it's less expensive to film in Chicago than it would be to get like a New York feel, but
mhm.
shoot, like a lot of their buildings and stuff there, it definitely looked more like what you would think a Gotham would look like. It's a lot more like actual Gothic architecture and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Well, and I think the
I think
fact
it was the
that
best adaptation of Gotham,
Agreed.
the best looking Gotham, I think. It
Yeah.
was the best looking Gotham out of them all.
Hmm.
So
And raining a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
I
you say it
think
rained a lot?
It was raining a lot in Gotham.
it was raining a
Was
lot
it?
in that movie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I didn't. Yeah.
Even that first scene, I think that he comes out in the rain, doesn't he not?
Oh yeah,
Dukes?
yeah.
Like yeah, the very
Oh yeah,
like
he does,
in
doesn't
the
he?
hallway, right? When he comes out of the hallway.
Yeah.
I thought like in terms of a Batman world or like look to Gotham, I think it was one of the best. I think the TV show Gotham actually did a pretty good job of that. And I obviously like
I never
aspects of
watched
the
that one,
movie.
so
It got better after the first season. The first season I found a little bit hard to get through, and then the second
fair
season got
enough.
better, and it kind of went from there. But back to it. What do you guys think about the Penguin?
Man,
I thought it was pretty good. I thought
he
it
was
pretty good.
great.
Yeah,
But like that did not look one bit like Colin Farrell. That was pretty cool.
dude.
You
The
don't like Colin Farrell?
I like him just fine. I just think the fact that like they made like Colin Farrell, who's like a handsome dude, they made him look like a bag of shit.
Well,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's true.
the only time I could see Colin Farrell was in that one section where he's got him under the bridge and he's beating the shit out of him, and he kind of looks at you like out of the side of his eyes, and in the eyes I could see it. I could tell that it was
Really?
him.
See,
Yeah, that was the
I was
only
so-
time that I could see him the whole movie.
I was so
Yeah,
into, like,
I tried to see him the whole time. I couldn't see him at all, actually. So
I
Take a
thought he
look
was
for
a
that
wicked
scene next
penguin.
time you watch it again. I thought it was a
yeah,
cool
I will
penguin.
definitely.
He's
I
getting a
like that it,
spin-off too, man. He's getting
well,
his
and
own show.
at the end of the movie there,
The
right?
show,
When they
right?
talk,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
when they're talking about how people are going to take advantage of this flood situation, like, and they
Oh yeah,
zoom in on him, I think
yeah.
that's setting up for
Looking out
the show.
like
Oh yeah.
at Gotham City, which he's like thinking is going to be like become his new fucking empire.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
setting up for the show. I thought he was really good. I did like that there's a character arc for him, that he's not just like superpower kind of crime boss yet, and that like Falcone had to go down, and some of these other guys had to go down before he could kind of take advantage of what's going on in the city, right? So I thought that was
Yeah.
really, really cool. The makeup again was insane. I heard or read that Colin Farrell literally had to be in makeup for 4 hours before filming every day.
He's.
Oh
I was. Do you ever watch a show called Hot Ones?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like a show where
definitely.
they eat these, they make these motherfuckers eat spicy things. Anyways, an awesome show. But he was on it pretty recently, and I watched it. And he said, I think he did say that initially it was 4 hours, and then they got it down to 3, and then like towards the end of like his filming of the movie, they got it down to like they could get it on him in 2 hours. But still, to
That's
sit in a
insane.
chair
nice.
for 2 fucking hours
Oh,
to get something like
Yeah.
that put on, that's a process. I loved
Definitely.
his. I think he had a good voice too. Like he sounded like what I would hope the Penguin would sound like, unless he was like straight up going for like a Cockney accent or something like that.
Yeah,
But
and I liked that
yeah.
he had
I
the
like how-
bodyguards with him.
yeah, oh yeah. So those
yeah. Tweedledum and
bodyguards,
Tweedledee.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tweedledum
They,
and
but
Tweedledee.
they didn't say that in the
No.
movie, did they? I just
They didn't,
assumed.
no.
No, they did. No, they did.
Right. And Jeff, I'll get to you in just a second. What do you like, Dukes? What did you think of his stature in the movie and just kind of how like his physical presence
Penguin?
with yeah, like with Batman and stuff. What did you think of that?
I thought it was awesome because I mean, like
Yeah.
obviously he's scared of him, but like he doesn't want to let on to him that he's fucking scared of him. Like when they first meet and he says like, "Take it easy, sweetheart." I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
fucking funny. Like,
100%. Well, and the reason I
there
asked
was
that is because, like, when I think of Danny DeVito's Penguin, for example, I mean, even like walked like a penguin, right? Like, I liked that.
yeah, but
I like that this
again,
was more of a real life kind of interpretation of
for
somebody who you can see where the nickname comes from, potentially, but not like that. He's literally looks like a penguin.
yeah,
Jeff, what did you
I
think of
thought
it, man?
Oh, I thought the Penguin was pretty good. What I was just gonna say, all of your points are what I say too. But I like at the end when he was handcuffed, they made him walk like a penguin a little bit, and I was like,
yes,
little
they did.
Easter
They
egg there. I was like, thank you.
I
totally,
think
So right there, right? I was like, thank you. I kept looking for Easter eggs in the movie, so like I was
yeah.
yeah.
like if like I had my head forward. I was like I was searching the whole time. So I mean I know
So
so I saw that and
speaking
I was
of
like, oh, thank you. So
dude, Easter eggs in the movie, like, did you see the one like so Edward Elliot was like they said a lawyer, I believe, in the movie. But if I'm
yeah, I
correct,
think so.
like if I'm correct, that's the father of Thomas Elliot, aka Hush. And like
Yeah,
over a
Hush might be
picture
coming in. I've heard that too.
when they were
Yeah.
well, not even necessarily like they may have just been like alluding to that because like in the movie, I'm pretty sure that like over a picture of Edward Elliot was like the word hush, but it was alluding to like hush money, I believe. But wouldn't
Oh,
that be
okay.
crazy if like in their world, like that's how Thomas Elliot like took the name of like that person that he
Yeah,
becomes?
that'd be crazy. I mean, hey, who knows, right? I mean,
Well,
I've read that, so that exact thing
Riddler
I've
was a
read. So it's like, okay,
because
so
Riddler was a huge part of the Hush storyline too. Like, and I don't think that they're
yeah,
gonna like. I don't want them to like necessarily pull shit straight out of the books, but like, it would be cool if they like kind of took some of those
I like how they're
storylines.
meshing books together, meshing stories
Yeah,
together and stuff like that. Those are taking elements of each story and go in like and making it
Well,
into their own, right? Because you can't just do a complete adaptation. You have to kind of like and just take things because it's Batman, right? I mean, there's so many stories you could take from and so many dark stories.
well, and
So
sure.
character names. There's a lot of on like long running character names that are just in
yeah,
Batman lore that it's like when you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, you think you know that character, so it's cool to see another representation of that character, right? So,
yeah.
and I mean that goes right into my next thought then, if unless you guys had any other thoughts on Penguin, but um Paul Dano has the
Nope.
Riddler.
I'm just looking forward to the
Yeah.
Penguin series and
One
like
at a time here, boys. One at a time. So let's give Jeff the floor this first time.
go for it,
What do you
Trevor.
think?
Oh no, go.
Your
Go ahead,
first
dude.
thought is no. I want to know what note goes for. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
I mean, he just. I mean, again, from the beginning when he had those binoculars and oh no, was the beginning had binoculars, right? And then he was behind him, right? Then it was showing him on TV, right? So
Yep.
wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. Right. So just seeing just hearing him breathing and stuff, and then seeing him, I was like, it just it gave me chills right away. It was very
Oh yeah,
the exact same chills I had when I saw the Joker and what he was doing. So it just and I just oh man, like the videos he had and the way that he just when he attacked the people, he started screaming, kind of like he did, like he was just so like he was so angry and
he
just
was
like
very
so much
disturbed, young
rage was
man.
in him, very disturbed individual, and just
Yeah,
oh man, it was I thought it was just he was I'm excited to see where he goes. And obviously we'll talk about the like the little cameo at the end. I'm like those two together, it's like, oh shit.
but the thing is,
Like
like,
I mean
will we
they're
get to
building
see
a
where he
world
goes?
here. So
Like,
I hope so. I hope
I
so.
hope so too, man.
You can't tease us like that. I think
Yeah,
Matt
really.
Reeves has a plan, and this movie has done amazing. So they're going to get more movies, and I think they have a plan. Pattinson wants to do like so. I think it's I think they're 100%. I think it's going to be a very eventually there's going to be like 4 or 5 villains of movie, like kind of like an Avengers kind. I don't know, not an Avengers feel, but I think it's going to be a bigger world than yeah, it's going to grow pretty fast. So
Well, and
he
so
was great. He was awesome.
So when
So,
you say
yeah.
nope, you meant you liked him. Like you weren't saying nope, you didn't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
him.
yeah. Oh God, no.
You thought he was
I don't even
intense.
think I said no. Did I
You
say
said
nope?
no.
I don't remember
You
saying
did.
nope at all. Oh,
You
okay.
did.
Fair
That was
enough.
your
No,
gut. That
I
was your gut
he
reaction.
was
But it was like, nope, this was
oh
awesome.
no,
Like you loved it.
he was great. Yeah. From second one, I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm in. Let's do
Okay,
this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
dudes.
was
What
good.
did?
So
He was
What was your thoughts?
if
terrifying,
he
man.
hears that, he's fucking yeah, he's good
He
on you,
was
bro. You
scary.
did a great job.
Like
Yeah.
like
What was
his
your
voice,
thoughts,
like
Dukes?
on Dano or Dano.
Yeah, or Dano on Riddler, like just in general, like this interpretation of the character. Like, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was awesome because he was terrifying for starters. Like he's actually
Hundred
like
percent.
he actually is like a very disturbed individual. But I like how, like him growing up, like kind of, whatever we're gonna like, not the greatest childhood. Like he's still like, I like how they, kind of made it where like his puzzles, he loved them. They were like his escape and shit, and he kind of turned that into like he's still a sick and twisted fucking individual, but now he's like making it part of his shtick, if that's what you want to call it. I
Like,
just think it's a really when every when I think the Riddler in the movies, I guess I really you only get the one thing unless you. I like the '66 show, so I like Frank Gorshin a lot. But like I guess a lot of people think Jim Carrey, but I'm just happy that they actually like did a intimidating or scary like relevant character for him instead of putting some dude in like a green spandex suit and shit.
I
His voice
definitely
is
agree.
terrifying. When he took when he
uh,
like when they got him in like the cafe or whatever, like and then like his face reveal, like he's not like an ugly dude, but like he's just like he's fucking creepy. He just like but like
yeah,
he
he
just
just
plays
plays
the
it perfectly.
character so well. He played
Yeah.
exactly
It's
because like
like
I'm
an
sure he's
intense. It's
really
like
nice.
an intensity, right? Like an intensity
Yeah,
in his
Yeah.
eyes,
but
almost
like
like,
Yeah.
when he
yeah,
was looking out like at Batman, like smiling when they had his head on the bar and stuff, like he's just it, and then like it was terrifying. And I think another thing that like we haven't really talked about is like the music in the movie because like that
Oh,
added
so good.
a lot to the
Oh,
atmosphere and like a
perfect
lot of these
score.
scenes and
Perfect
shit.
score.
Really good score,
Yeah.
like super creepy
Yeah.
in a lot of certain parts.
dude, it was
So
like as I was even leaving the theater, the theme for Batman, that
I
heavy,
like it.
like,
I like it.
dude,
Yeah.
like that would I was like humming it on the way out. Like it was just stuck in my head for the rest of the night. And like I bought one of the DC McFarlane toys on the way into the theater because there was only one left in the concession stand, and I'm like, I'm buying that guy because if this movie is awesome, I'm gonna 100% want to take something home and set
Totally.
it up like 100%, right? And dude, like as that like the theme music for Batman was going on, but like all the music, like you said, like for me, music in a film really connects me to it, and that was something that the Nolan verse did
Yeah.
really well. And what like I think I felt like I lost a little bit with, for me anyways, like in the Ben Affleck version of Batman, I can't even think of Ben Affleck's theme. He might have had
Yeah.
one, and it might have even been pretty good, but
It was
like it
scored by
wasn't
like
scored by somebody amazing, I'm sure, right?
Junkie XL and like Hans Zimmer did Batman v
Oh, that's who it
Superman.
was. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there were such poor reviews for like Batman. Like they were just saying like I don't like it. I want it to be something else. And then WB kind of like it seemed like they were like, well, let's give the fans what they want. And then I remember when Justice League came out, like the Joss Whedon version, they had like the Tim Burton Batman music and the Richard Donner Superman music kind of. It was like, what the fuck are you trying to be right now? Like that was one of the other annoying things with that. Like they weren't trying to like do their own thing. They were just trying to like getting off track here. That's another thing I liked about this movie. It did its own thing. It wasn't trying to like be anything else but itself.
It also
Exactly.
And I
didn't feel
think
like 3 hours.
yeah, and it didn't feel like 3 hours at all, did it?
No,
It
no,
was
I did. I
really
was kind
good.
of
It
like,
had a nice pace to it.
yeah, yeah,
And
it
like
did have a nice
it's one of
pace to
those
It
it.
did.
ones like where like I don't know, like we can pretty fucking much stream anything nowadays. Like, but when this comes out on Blu-ray, like I want it for the collection. Like I'm buying it.
Oh,
I hope they have a
100%,
lot of like
100%.
special features and
100%.
stuff for it too. I really hope they
Yeah,
do.
Me too. And they
yeah,
will. I'm sure that there's some deleted stuff in there, added
Oh
features
yeah.
and all that, right? I'm like definitely. And I think, and again, like even the score, like even just going back to the music, like for the Dark Knight soundtrack, I downloaded that afterwards. I wonder if this would be the same way. If I'm like going to the gym or something, I want to get pumped up, like this might be something
Oh
that I
shit, I
listen
wanted to
to
know if that's Spotify.
on on the way in, right? And so, but yeah, I think for me, just going back to Riddler really quick, I think for Paul Dano, I think he did or Dano, depending on how you say it, I think he
I
did
think it's
very,
Dana.
very well. Dano.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought he did very well. I think my own, I thought the Riddler was a little bit more scary than I expected him to be.
I liked it.
In terms of the character itself,
Oh,
like
really? Oh,
I've
I
always
expected him to be
envisioned.
fucking terrifying.
Well, for me,
He was
like I
great.
think for me, I've always kind of envisioned the Riddler as being more of a playful
Like
supervillain
a
of
like a
Batman,
like a
Legit,
trickster, like almost
like
like a
Jim, like
trickster,
a Jim Carrey.
exactly. Or
Yeah,
or even like
yeah,
a not even a Jim Carrey, but more even like a Loki. You know what I mean? Where
yeah. Okay, yeah,
Loki
yeah,
had an intensity to him too. He was still a scary bad guy too, but like he also kind of he had fun with it. You know what I mean? He seemed like he got more actual joy out of like the riddle, like riddles and like tricking people and stuff like that. Whereas Paul Dano or Dano's version of the character was a lot more psychologically twisted. You know, like he said, it's not enough to just tell somebody something. It's enough. It's more if you get them to suffer through the answer, right? If you have to make them suffer
yeah.
to get that answer, that's when it has that impact. And that's not obviously word for word, but that's kind of close to what he said. And I was like, ooh, like that is cool, and it definitely a very interesting take on the Riddler. I expected him to be more playful because there are other Batman villains that I think you know, if this series does really well or this movie does really well, which let's be honest, it definitely will. There's going to be more, and there are so many Batman villains already that are so psychologically twisted, like the Zodiac type killer, right? Like, or what is the one killer where that marks himself Dukes on
Zaz,
his
Victor
Zaz, right?
Zaz.
Like Victor Zaz. Like Victor Zaz, I thought this was almost more of like a scary Victor Zaz type portrayal versus the Riddler. And again, and I mean, like, hopefully I'm not jumping ahead here too much, boys, but like that nod to a new Joker at the
Yeah.
end of the movie.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
The Joker is
yeah,
going to be sick
yeah,
and twisted and psychological and all of the things if they bring him in, right? Like that's just who the Joker
oh
is. Yeah,
yeah,
he's just chaos. And so um like I hope that there's enough of a difference, I guess is what I'm trying to say, between villains. If they started off with the Riddler being so dark, I hope that there's still enough of a separation, because I'd still want the Joker to be just as dark. I'd still want a Zaz to be just as dark. You know what I mean? But I don't want them to blend together as being too similar, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
If we're
that's
talking
true.
like
That's true. I
as no, go ahead.
I was like, what I was gonna say I was like, I've always wanted this dark shit. Like you know, I mean, like I
It
love
has
Marvel,
to be.
but like you know, if Marvel was Marvel's just not as dark, right? But DC is dark. DC needs to be dark. We need to get like w- enough of this PG stuff. I understand that this movie isn't rated R and stuff like that, right? But like, I'm glad that the Riddler is like a dark, like he doesn't get like. I want all these psychological killers to come out because we've never had a Batman universe where all like you know we have had 4 or 5 like it's just gonna I don't know I'm excited for it so I like how twisted I was happy they didn't do the same thing as like you know a Jim Carrey or like a Loki
Oh yeah.
personally, but I mean they would have been awesome, but just for this universe like it's just like get him as
The
dark as
fact,
possible, like this is some
the fact
real
that they
life
made him
like this is supposed to be real life, like you know I mean this is what would like you think would happen if a Batman universe happened, like you know, if it was like a Gotham in real life or something like that,
oh
right?
yeah, I mean he's a fucking
That's all.
serial killer.
So
And like
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. So it's just
like
I loved it. It was such a good such a good adaptation of the Riddler. So
it was cool, like also because I mean like they nothing what he's doing there, I'm not trying to justify it, but like he had his motives for like all of it too. Like
yeah, yeah,
when you
yeah.
give the villain
Society
like
breeds
motives
it though,
like
right? I mean, we
yeah,
you
like
know
exactly
like
they
yeah,
made this fucking guy kind of. But we were
like,
saying, you guys were like, as far as other villains go, I'll just say this one thing. I would love to see him and Joker kind of do like their team up. But if they're
yeah,
doing a trilogy like these guys are talking, and I heard that they're doing trilogy, what I would like them to
yeah.
do, because I'm hearing they were talking about
I want them to
somehow
fight
like
each other too.
they were, but they were somehow talking about adapting Mr. Freeze. So like it'd be cool if they put
Oh,
Victor Freeze in
nice,
somehow in the
nice.
second. If they did that properly in
Yeah,
the second movie, that'd be super cool. But what I really want
yeah,
to see above all else is like in the third movie, if we like watch this Batman like establish himself and like whatever, I want to see a fucking Court of Owls movie. I want to see
Yes.
like
Yeah,
this
I've heard
guy
that
when
that's gonna
he's
be the
when I want to see like
everyone
when
thought it was gonna
Batman.
be in this one.
Well,
So
because it's like it'd be just crazy. Like if we watch these, if it's like because it's like Batman like at his peak, and he's thinking like
yeah,
not because he's not like super arrogant guy, I guess, but he's thinking like to himself more than likely like, you know, this is my fucking
I got
city.
this shit.
Like
Yeah.
I know this city better than anyone, blah blah blah. And then like the city starts saying like, you know what, like you actually don't know it as well as you think you do, kind of thing. And then like
Yeah.
all of a sudden this secret fucking society starts messing with them. That'd be nuts. Anyways, I don't. That's for another
But yeah,
day.
no,
Well,
I
That's-
agree. I agree.
Well, and so I heard and read a little bit. Mr. Freeze, Court of Owls potentially, and Calendar Man, which I don't know enough. I don't
Yo,
know much about.
I
Calendar
haven't
Man-
heard that one yet.
Calendar Man, they've never done right. Like they made it like I guess they made it kind of cool in like the Long Halloween though, because they just make him again like a fucking really like deranged, not even deranged, like the way he was so calm almost, but like they just make him like kind of like a Hannibal Lecter type almost, like the way
Interesting.
just like not
Interesting.
in the sense that like he's a cannibal, but just like the way he like helps them with a case and like sits there between like they're talking like between glass because this guy is such a fucking lunatic or like I don't know, it's pretty cool.
That's a cool twist. Like, I wonder how that could be added in. I mean, in such a psychological type movie like even the Batman was, I could see them utilizing somebody like Calendar Man for that reason, I guess, in future movies, right? Maybe to even try and assess who the Joker is or what his motivations are, some of that type of thing. Especially if they share any time at Arkham Asylum, which I mean, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool part of this movie.
Well, that was the Affleck movie was supposed to be like a night at Arkham Asylum, basically. But like
Interesting, which is basically the first game, which is also one of
Yeah.
our favorite games of all time.
you're fucking right. I like how they made Thomas Wayne like, I mean, because usually the image of Thomas Wayne has been like, he's a shining
Positive.
citizen, like
Yeah,
he's
really high up
nothing but
pedestal, yeah.
positive. He's like a fucking white knight. But like the last like little while, you see stories where like, he
wouldn't be a white
area
knight.
there,
He would be corrupt.
Yeah, like there's some gray area
Like,
there.
he
in
would
the
be a little
movie, and, like,
corrupt. There's no way he wouldn't be, like he made all that
I
money
just-
somehow.
I think
Like,
that makes him a much more compelling character. Like
Yeah.
and therefore makes Bruce and Batman a way like cooler character too, because like not
Well,
like,
it makes him fallible, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, is that no longer is he just like that hero type, like you're saying, that white knight, that guy who to Bruce like can do no wrong. Now it's like, okay, he is fallible. So I mean, you saw that in the movie with Pattinson, where it made him question his whole thinking on being the Batman. Like, I did this for him, and he is not who I thought he was. Right. And you saw Alfred go back to, he is what you think he is. It's, you were lied to. It's not the right story that you got. Right. And that helped him kind of reaffirm that feeling in his heart again. But it still meant that he was still fallible. He still made mistakes. Right. And I think that also meant that that was allowing some permission for Bruce to at least make some mistakes before he ends up becoming that kind of pinnacle version of the Batman that we kind of all picture in our minds when we think Batman, right? Like where he's going as a character. And I thought that was really cool. I agree. I liked that dynamic with him. And I did think that made that father relationship with Alfred a little bit more real too, I guess. It wasn't just that he was a butler that had been paid to look after him and he just developed feelings. It was like, no, like he actually kind of really became a father to him. And I mean, you saw that a little bit in previous iterations, that father feel, right? But still a little different with this version. So very cool.
It'll be interesting to see Pattinson, since he's so low, like he's like a really like hard on himself Batman right now. It'll be because I feel like Christian Bale was hard on himself, but like I feel like Pattinson's going to go through a much bigger transformation in the 3 movies than Bale went through. He's more broken right now and stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see how
where he goes, how he grows,
how he grows, right? And I think it's going to be like, because he's, again, he's just so low right now, and he doesn't, he's just figuring himself out. So it's just, yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Now the end of the movie then, kind of getting closer to the end here now, boys. And we'll probably go for another 15, 20 minutes here, kind of at the most, and then we'll cut it there.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the ending of the movie, the stakes that were involved, it wasn't just like, I like when I see the bad guy winning a little bit, and I get to that point.
Yeah,
in the movie
I was
where I'm
hoping
like,
I was hoping they would explode.
right where
Yeah.
I'm like, where
When
I'm
he was
like,
talking about it, I was like, oh, the explosion, sweet.
how are they going to get out of this, right? Like, how is Batman going to have time to knock all these bombs out now, right? And then they start exploding as I'm literally thinking that in the movie, and it was like, okay, this is getting real quick, like this is the, but I like that. And like, even I like when bad guys get a shot in sometimes, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like, even like, how many times did Batman get shot in this movie, right? Like that one scene at near the end when he gets the shotgun blast to the chest. I was literally like,
well, that's what I was thinking too. I was saying when I got out of the theater to my buddy, I'm like, dude, I know he has a suit of armor on, but at the same time, like, yo, like, just step like a foot to the left, dude. Don't take a rifle blast to the chest. Like,
Yeah. Can I
go ahead.
Okay, I think I think we're gonna get anyway. So, do you know what he injected himself with? Are we gonna get to what that at all?
It certainly seems like venom. But what I'm wondering is if something like that exists,
or just adrenaline.
It was green, man. But like,
it was green.
I know. I thought it was green. Yeah, I know.
But like, what I'm wondering is like, okay, and I hope we're not like being too hopeful here, because this is a lot of fucking villains we're talking about, aka a lot to unpack in like 3 fucking movies, which will never happen.
Maybe it's more than 3
but
movies,
But maybe it is, and I'm just saying, like, if it is, like, if that's the case, if that's what that is Venom, then maybe at that point in time, then Bane is somewhere in the world, like,
Bane. I've read the
getting
Bane's probably
experimented on or something. Like, how fucking crazy would that be? And this Bane's not going to be a Tom Hardy Bane. It's not going to be a Tom Hardy Bane.
Well, and I hope
this will be a Bane with shit coming out of his arms and hands and stuff like that.
But hopefully not like a Bane from like Batman and Robin. That was kind of like a mindless freak. One of the things that I at least liked about Nolan's Bane was that he was a smart villain. You know what I mean? That he had his own motivations as well as Ra's al Ghul's. But like I didn't like. I mean, as a kid, I liked the Batman and Robin Bane. I thought he was cool, being all hulky and stuff. I hope there's a mixture. I hope it's more like the game Dukes, where it's like he is smart and he's got like, or like the comics, like the Nightfall comics when Bane breaks Batman's back. Like that. In the Nightfall comics, like he's smart. He's calculated. He knows.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
Bane's
he knows what's up.
It's his fucking intellect. Like, he's on par with Bruce as being like, a genius mind.
Yeah, and like detective and everything himself, right? And so if we see that version of a Bane, oh man.
Yeah. A Bane that cool. Again, like, deduces that like Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like, imagine like if one day we see like a scene where Bruce is coming into the Batcave and Bane's in there waiting for him. That'd be nuts.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Batcaves, Ben.
Oh man.
Go ahead. Take it away.
Well, what did you guys think?
Batcave?
I thought Batcave was awesome. You didn't see much of it though.
Well, I mean,
see, like,
it's also
a couple of scenes of it.
It went away from like what you would think it is too, because the Batcave is usually like something beneath Wayne Manor. This was a fucking abandoned train station. Like,
is that what it was? Okay, it wasn't a train station. Okay,
Like, it wasn't Wayne Manor either. He's living in like a penthouse or something. So like, I'm wondering, like, are we gonna get to see Wayne Manor over the course of like the movies as well, and thus a new Batcave?
Potentially. I think I'm hoping I'm hoping a future Batcave looks more like the comic version of a Batcave, where he actually ends up having some like almost like trophies of his villains, like the coin and the dinosaur in the back, and like some of that stuff would be really cool. We've never have we gotten it? I feel like I've seen it, but I don't like. Again, not in real life, not in like live action, I should say. We haven't got it.
Yeah, live action. Yeah,
and like trophies and stuff.
Like the kind of trophies in the cave.
Well, I mean,
I guess Affleck had a
Affleck
little bit, didn't he?
had Jason Todd's
Did he?
fucking
Yes, he
it's
did.
like he had Jason Todd's like, but like with Joker's like writing on it. That's just
Yeah,
another like
Yeah,
that's just a
he
cool
did,
fucking
you're
visual
right.
because Zack Snyder can't write a fucking movie. So that's cool.
You're gonna get us
It's
canceled,
true.
Juice.
Sorry, there, listeners, but it's true. You know I'm right.
I think the hardest part about that was knowing that it was a cool Easter egg that we would never get to see it. We would never get to see that come to fruition. Whereas I think everything that we
Yeah.
saw in this film, if they showed it, it's because they have a purpose to bring more story to it. And I think that's something that like just Matt Reeves as a director did really good with this film, was like everything that they put in there felt purposeful to the plot of the movie. I didn't feel like any of it felt like filler necessarily. I've seen
Yeah.
some people say that it could have been 30 minutes shorter. I don't know. I don't know what they would have cut that I'm like that needed to get cut out. If I watched
Now
this
you
movie,
could, I do.
okay,
Sorry, go on.
yeah,
Sorry, keep
no,
going.
I was gonna say if I watched this 10 times in a row, I might feel differently. You know what I mean? Whereas like the pacing of The Dark Knight for me, for example, that was a long movie, but it like every scene like really grabbed me. This movie, every scene really grabbed me too. I wonder how I'll feel on it after multiple viewings. But like, what do you think something could have been cut out, Jeff? Or
I love the love story, but I mean, like, I'm always like, Batman. I think they can always cut out some of that, loves not the story, but just like the pace in between, like, I like the pace in between it, but I mean, if you were to cut out something, cut out some of their pace in between, like a Batman and Catwoman, where they're like, they're looking at each other and they're like, like that's what they should cut out. If they're, I'm sorry, but like, I love it, like, I'm always like, hey, cool, let's get that kiss going. Let's get back to some detective Batman action. So,
dude, no need to be
let's get to
sorry.
some more, Riddler. So
That's why I wanted to hear your guys' perspectives, right? Because everybody goes into
Yeah.
a Batman movie, kind of wanting something different, right? I mean, and that's
Yeah.
why I was interested to hear. Like, I felt like I knew Jeff would like it because of how dark it was, and like how psychological
away,
it is,
yeah.
and how physical it is, and like some of that I knew you would like. And Dukes, I was hoping you would like it because of some of the gut feels I get with when it comes to like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and like some of the games and like even Origins, like you were saying, the suit, like there are ties to both really like cherished universes there. So I was like, I knew I loved it immediately, but I didn't. Dukes, you were the wild card, I think, of the call. I think I thought if
I knew I
anybody
was
was
gonna
gonna,
like it.
yeah, I mean, fair enough.
I knew
you
I
were the
was.
one that I was worried about.
I was just, well, I mean, again, as I knew, I just want something different, which, I mean, I watched all the trailers, guys. I know you try to stay away from them, but I watched like pretty much every piece of promotional shit you could before this came out. And it all looked pretty cool. So like the whole
Okay.
time I'm just sitting here waiting for it. And then when it was actually good, not only from like just like a kind of an action standpoint, but like just a good story and like a cool movie standpoint, it was fucking awesome. There was really nothing I was disappointed with. And maybe over time, like you said, like if I were to watch it like back to like if I watch it 10 times right now, or even like a couple times right here, back to back to back,
You start
I might feel
analyzing it
different.
more. You just do.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
But like,
So,
first impressions for me it was fantastic. I really liked it. One, because it was different and it was dark, which Batman should be.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was also just like, I don't know, the way they wrote it, it was just like it did have like, a leg to stand on. And also they left it open to like a future on multiple fronts, I think.
So in terms of
Because of
length
that,
of the movie, you thought that it was like the appropriate length kind of thing. You felt like they
yeah.
really couldn't have cut anything out of it that you felt like needed to be out, sort of thing.
I mean, again, like I'm just trying to sit here thinking like to myself what they could cut out, and there's really like nothing that
There's
comes
not
to
much.
mind.
It's maybe 5
If
minutes.
anything,
If
if
anything,
anything, man, like
yeah.
you know how much of a nerd I am for the Batman stuff. So like I could sit here and say like
Yeah.
I think they honestly should have added more. Like I could sit here
Yeah,
and
I was
watch
like, I
like
want
a
that 4-hour version they talk about.
exactly,
So,
exactly. Like if they
yeah,
could,
give
even if
me,
it was
yeah.
like a 3.5
So,
hour movie, if that was a 3.5
give
hour
me more
movie, but the
Riddler. Give
extra
me more Batman.
exactly. If the
So,
extra 35
yeah.
minutes of that movie were Batman and Riddler, I'm fucking all in.
Yep.
Literally, and I think
100%,
that was it
100%.
for me too. I thought it was exactly as long as it
Yeah.
needed to be. I thought it was interesting, and I don't know if you guys felt this too, but I actually thought that the bat signal was practically
it.
was practically a character in the movie. Like, how many
It was
times
really
did they
Yeah,
go
cool.
yeah,
back to that? But like, it
yeah.
showed the progression of even the story, right? Like, as you go along, like back at the bat symbol, but like it kept bringing him back to it even. And when he's at the end, when he's trying to decide if maybe he would go with Selena, you know, like maybe that might be nice, and he looks up and the bat signal's
Yeah.
looking at him through the windows, right? It's like,
Fucking right.
You
okay,
ain't going
fair enough.
anywhere, bro.
You are Batman.
Yeah.
You are Batman, right? And
Yeah.
that actually
Yeah.
brings me to one other thing that I'm curious on, how you guys feel about this, because the buddy I went with to see the movie, he was perfectly okay with it, and I don't know how to feel. And that was every live action Batman movie I've seen or TV show, he has said in the movie, I am Batman in some way or another. Right. And I mean, Bale got made fun of for the way he said it in Begins, which I never hated it. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think it was offensive, but I know that people didn't like it, which is fine. But because they called him Vengeance the whole movie, like the whole movie, I mean, even the cops called him Vengeance, right? Like,
Yeah.
I thought by the end of that movie, he would be Batman. Like, I am no longer Vengeance, I am Batman. And like, I was waiting for it. And the fact that it never came, I was like almost disappointed with. And I know that seems maybe like a really weird thing to be disappointed with. But like, I thought that we'd have that arc into it. At the same time, it's almost kind of a forced line, right? Like, unless it comes out naturally, you know, he said to Gordon at the end when they're looking at the cameras and he's thinking that him as Bruce Wayne is going to be exposed, you know, this might be the end of the Batman. But that's the only time he actually referred to his whole getup as Batman. And up to that point, it had been mostly called Vengeance, other than on Riddler's, letters as Batman. And I think maybe the only reason for that is because, kind of like, again, Duke said, you said it earlier, if this is year 2 Batman, he's already established as being known as either Vengeance or the Batman. So he doesn't necessarily have to say, I am Batman in order for it to be already the case, right? And so
Also,
like, maybe
like,
that's it.
Well, and does he
I
even
would.
give
I,
a shit?
yeah.
Like, does he care what they call him?
True.
Oh,
True.
definitely not. But I also think, like, you know, like, once they said I'm Vengeance once, and then they said it twice, I was like, okay, he's Vengeance. I think it would have ruined it if he was like all of a sudden like, I'm Batman. It's like, well, you've been calling yourself Vengeance the whole time. So
Right,
what,
but
you know,
even
I think it would
man,
have been, you know,
It's just like every time
it was
every time I associate Vengeance with Batman, I think of the animated series. So I just love how they fucking threw that in there.
But
Like, they
even
could
yeah,
have
at the
used
end,
other
it was
words.
a nice it was a nice difference from always going I'm Batman. You know what I mean? Because we always
Yeah.
hear the same thing. It's like this movie did everything that you wanted different that a Batman movie has never done before. So to me, it deserves a perfect 10s that it's gotten across the board. I'm like, yeah, it deserves it. I'm like, it's done something that no other Batman movie has ever done. Superhero movies have never really done. You know, it's definitely gonna be, yeah. So if it was
but
a
even like,
standalone movie, I mean, it would be like, you know, it's a masterpiece as a standalone movie. So I can't wait for 1, 2, and 3.
keep in mind though, like, again, and I think the reason maybe I even just kind of back to that point real quick, like, the fact that the movie's being called the Batman, the movie's called the Batman.
Yeah,
He calls himself
I
Vengeance
know,
the whole
that's
movie.
true.
And then his narration at the end talks about how vengeance isn't enough anymore, right? And that, like, that can no longer be his
Probably was
driver.
Batman.
Vengeance can't be what it was, because when that Riddler bad guy said he was Vengeance, you recognize that suddenly that's actually not who Batman wants to be. He doesn't, vengeance isn't enough. He needs to be more. And he says that in his narration. So as I said, I'm like, okay, you're going to say it. I'm the Batman,
You're gonna be Batman.
right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
as I said, the
didn't think
movie was
about that.
called
That's
The
true.
Batman. So like, they didn't, the only time it was called, but like, the only time we saw The Batman otherwise was, as I said, on Riddler's cards, or Riddler's cards. That's a hard thing to say 10 times in a row. But yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Now, getting close to wrap up here, guys. A couple more questions that I have for you. What do you think about like toy lines and collectibles? Jeff, you sent us a picture when you left the movies, I think it was, And you mentioned that you got
Uh,
some of the pop collectibles already, right? Pops.
Oh yeah, I got those Funko Pop things, whatever. So yeah, I mean I like collectibles. I'm trying to get more Lego stuff, but it's like more Star Wars stuff right now. So
There's a lot of good Star Wars Lego right now. 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So what I want to get, I want to get those I want to get like I think it's a 7,000 piece Galactic Empire starship or whatever. I forget what it's called, the starship or the cruiser. So that's
Oh
but
man.
that's like $3,000. So it's like, yeah,
If
it's a
they
little
made
much.
if they made a Lego version of this car, would you get it? Or would you think about it?
Of the
Mhm.
Batmobile, 100%.
Yeah.
So I
Because
love
I
the
mean, they
Tumbler,
had
but it's just like, yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
had
I
a.
would
That's what I was
definitely
gonna say. They
the
had a
Tumbler.
Lego Tumbler. I would be not
Yeah.
surprised in any way, shape, or form if we saw a Lego version of this car.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Tumbler is Duke's car. I call this one.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
I love
And
it.
then, so the reason I ask about the collectibles is because I've seen your pops, which is cool. I have seen already some Batman Lego that's out, so you can. I think they've got like a small version of
yeah,
the car that you can get, and at least the bike, and you can get, Batman and Catwoman, obviously, and all that. And then they just released, or not released, but they've just announced a new Hot Toys Batman that comes like the 1/6 scale version of the figures that I collect, boys, and like he
oh
looks
nice.
amazing. I mean, the detail on this
Oh,
figure is
Yeah,
crazy,
oh,
crazy.
great.
For the audio listeners, I'm going to be putting like slideshows on so you guys can see the figure. But the figure looks cool, and he comes with the bat signal, which I think is interesting because again, like I was
Does he
saying
really?
earlier, yeah, I was I literally saying
that's
like
awesome.
it felt like the bat signal was almost a character in that movie, and like he comes with the figure, or they comes with the figure, so that's cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
For me, it's going to be likely a must buy. It comes out in 2023, so we'll still have some time to see it. But they even have like a Robert Pattinson head sculpt for it. Like it looks real
nice.
good. It looks really really good. So that'll be on my wish list. So, final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts on the movie. Jeff, I'm going to go with you. Final thoughts. How'd you feel? Are you excited? Give me your last kind of feel of the film before we wrap it up and send it over to Dukes.
Like I said earlier, yeah, I mean, yeah, 10 out of 10. I mean, it's again, it's done nothing, nothing what other superheroes have done before. So and it took a chance, right? So I mean, everyone could have hated it. So I mean, so it's nice that nobody does, and it's a great movie. So I'm excited for two and three. So I got no complaints about it. So I want more. So.
That was awesome.
I'm like I want more Riddler. I want more fucking Batman. I want them to just interact more. Like like give me more Penguin and Kyle. But I like the dark villain. So give me more Joker. Give me more. Yeah, give me more Matt Reeves. So
Fantastic. And then Mr. Dukes, send it away, buddy. What final thoughts on it? Anything else
I
that you wanted
agree.
to make sure we talked about?
I think it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing it a second time. I'm probably going to because I'm on vacation this week. I honestly might see it before I go back to work. Um, as far as stuff to add to the movie, not off the top of my head, just for the sake of throwing something in, but I'm sure the second
That's
you
fair.
stop recording, I'm going to have all kinds of awesome shit to say.
It's always the way it
But
goes.
yeah, probably.
It's always the way it
but no,
goes.
but
And I
but
mean,
no, I mean
maybe
like
if we get a good
I,
reaction on the video and people like talking about it, I mean, I honestly think we're gonna have more takeaways even after we see it a second time. I like for
Oh
me,
yeah,
this has
definitely,
it's a
definitely.
second viewing for sure. Right.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, and like that's why, like, next time we'll do slides together, boys, because like again, like even just in terms of organizing thoughts, like what a huge movie. There's so much to
Yeah,
think about. As I said, I got home and I
yeah,
wanted to talk to Shauna about it, but she didn't see it. So I was like exploding at the seams, I'm like, I got
yeah,
like there's
yeah.
so many things to think about now with some comics that I want to go back and read. Dukes, would you recommend any comics that we should check out? And just in terms of books, or for anybody who's listening that maybe they're not huge into comics and maybe want to have something to pick up,
As far as like it's connected to the movie or just
connected to the
because
movie, or just Batman connection or Batman books that you think might just kind of help to solidify the world and the world building and the characters
I,
that we've
I,
talked about today, stuff like that.
I guess I guess maybe Long Halloween just because took a couple plot points from it. But
Mhm.
as far as I think even like Easter eggs, like I said with the Edward Elliot thing earlier, I really do think that maybe they were trying to like allude to Hush at some point in the future. But
Interesting.
Hush, again, like I
Interesting.
say that, like Hush and Long Halloween are like two of my favorite stories. So I would just check them out just because. Why the fuck not?
Cool, man. Well, I know I put you on the spot a little bit there, so that's awesome. I appreciate it. For anybody listening, if you guys want, I can put your Instagram names in the chat if you guys want to be shared. If not, that's totally cool. But you know, Dukes, you always have some really good comic recommendations. I think for me, my final thoughts, boys, it was fucking awesome. I'm super happy. That was, you know, I liked aspects of Batman. You know, Ben Affleck's Batman. I know some people still love that iteration. That's okay. For me, like it was Nolan verse, and otherwise for me, it's this one. And so I would say, yeah, very, very, very happy with the film. I am 100% going to see it a second time. And yeah, I'm gonna buy the shit out of that figure. Guys, you're the best. If you guys liked doing this, I'm down to talk movies, games, television, anything, anytime with you boys. You guys are the best. Jeff,
All right,
Dukes,
man. No worries.
thanks for coming.
Hey, bud, thanks for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, no worries, guys. We will talk again soon. Love y'all, and
All right.
we'll catch you on the next one.